Today we're going to talk about improving an already successful business. So I had somebody send in a question and say, hey, I've been in business now for, I don't remember if it was 20 or 30 years in a lawn care business, and everything's been going good, but there's not really any growth. It's just operating, and yes, we're successful, but do you have any ideas on how to maybe grow the business and just make it better overall? And of course, there's always ways to grow and improve. And if you've been in business that long, honestly, you're going to know your specific business better than I do. I'm just offering some inspiration and some ideas, but it's at least maybe it'll help get some of the creative juices flowing, right? I would say one of the obvious steps, which if you've been in business that long, you're probably already doing, and that is learning to become more efficient. So things that come to mind to me, and then maybe again, you'll be able to draw inspiration and be like, oh, okay, you got me thinking now a different way. And these are things that you probably already do. So I would say I would be scheduling my lawn care services in a particular area. I would get as many on that block, obviously, as you could possibly get. And then I would map out how I'm going to drive to each one, so I'm not going back and forth. Least amount of driving time possible, because that time will add up at the end of the day. So if you have a specific route that you can run that's the fastest possible, shaving minutes off every single day will compound over time. It's the compound effect, and you will become far more efficient. Also, shaving down by having some better tools, which of course that's why, as somebody in a lawn care business would know, let's just say a zero-turn mower is going to be a lot faster and more efficient than a tractor style of mower. And obviously the tractor style of mower works, but the zero-turn allows you to get the job done even faster, right? Larger deck, so tooling up, spending money on more efficient, faster tools. So speeding up the efficiency of the project without decreasing the quality of the work that you're putting out. So that's a big mistake that I know a lot of people make, is they say, I got to go faster and faster and faster, but then they are doing a worse and worse and worse job. So that's obviously something we want to avoid. We want to just speed up efficiency as much as possible. Now, once you have all that efficiency really maximized out, you only really have two options, and that is either invest in more equipment and trucks and people, or keep the business just to yourself. But then the only way to really grow and advance is to either integrate vertically, which we discussed in a previous video, and I'll at least show you the thumbnail for that video here so you can go watch that one if you didn't. But this is a really good idea where you're integrating products with your service. This could be done with more employees or without, but it's something I would definitely be looking into, where you're adding items for sale. And in that video specifically, I used shrubs and plants and sod as an example to add on an additional service, okay, and then selling a product. So go back and watch that video as well. But the only other way to really advance from there and at least get more money is to simply raise the price. Well, then that's going to be pretty difficult, because as you know, if you're cutting grass in a middle-class neighborhood, you're going to have to keep very competitive prices, because everybody and their mother can have a lawn care business. So if your prices are way higher than everybody else, even if you do a better job, more times than not, people are going to go for the cheaper service, because really all they just want is their grass cut, and that's it. So my personal train of thought, at least how I've run other businesses, is I want to have a clientele that specifically wants a very good job, and also not have sketchy people around, okay? So here's the direction that I would personally take it, but again, it's just me, it's just some ideas, some food for thought. And I wouldn't necessarily just do this overnight and say, okay, that's it, I'm not doing all my other services anymore. If you're maxed out in time, my suggestion is, if you have somebody that's already working for you, I would have them start leading that crew and doing those jobs as scheduled. You just let that horse run, okay? Then personally, like, use me as the example. Let's just say I own a lawn care business. I've got 2 or 3 employees. Maybe I need to hire one more instead. I'm going to back away a little bit, and then I'm going to say, okay, Jimmy's been here the longest. He's the most trustworthy. It's all pretty automated. It's not people handing us cash. He's not going to run off with my stuff, you know. Pretty reliable. He's taken care of. He's now in charge. He's going to go be in charge of all the cuts. To give him a little raise as an incentive, right? Now, instead of me going and just doing the same thing and getting more clientele, which you could do, that's just you just being basically in two places at once. You could do that, or what I would do is I would say, okay, I'm going to have a little bit of a change in my direction, and I'm going to specifically try to target very high-end neighborhoods, upper class as much as possible, and it might be hard to get into some of those places. I would start leaning away from being I'm a lawn care service, and I would start making a slight new brand within the same brand as a groundskeeper, and I would make sure specifically this is what I would do, okay? This is just me. So it's just kicking around ideas. Again, you know your business more than I do at this point if you've been in it that long. I would say, okay, I'm gonna make sure that my truck is washed really nice, at least once a week. I don't wanna be riding around with mud and dirt and grass clippings all over it, whatnot. It's gonna happen, you're in the business. I want all my equipment washed and kept clean, and I want my trailer to be in good shape. If you show up with a good looking outfit, a really good looking outfit, and the man that steps out of the driver's seat is not covered in dirt and grass clippings, in a cruddy old shirt, wearing his sunglasses and his bandana and everything that you typically see. If the guy that steps out of the truck is wearing a polo and some nice dark pants, maybe that don't show the dirt quite as much, a nice pair of boots, and then you start pulling off really nice equipment that's clean, the higher end clientele is going to be far more likely to hire you. And I can tell you why specifically, and that is I don't like sketchy people around my house and my things and my family. So I've had people before come up and want to do work for us, and I want somebody to work on my lawn, and I look at him and I'm like, I don't like the looks of the guy. I have a feeling if he looks like he's poor and sketchy, in my mind, in many people's minds, they say he's more likely to do nefarious things. Now, whether that's true or not, we don't know. But the truth is you will be judged by your appearance. So the chances of you getting a job from a very, very high-end client that wants better work done at a higher price is very slim when you're not dressed for that job. But if you show up real clean looking and sharp, then they already perceive that you're doing well. You don't need to steal their stuff. So me personally, a great example, I had a company that was coming to cut my grass. I hired them one time, they came out. I wasn't really in love with the way the guys looked, but I just let it go, even though it made me nervous. I just don't like people around my things. They also went very fast, and they did pretty much a horrible job. And the next week, they didn't even show up, and they're getting paid on a contract, so they were no call, no show. I just fired them. But me personally, I looked at this situation going, I will absolutely pay more money to have somebody show up that A, is going to do the job, and they're going to do a nice job, but they also look good, and I'm not worried about these people around all of my things. So I would personally be willing to pay a much higher price to somebody that I'm like, that's a professional. And a great example of that is I had a tree service company that I worked with for a while as well. I didn't work with them, I hired them to do jobs. And when they come, their equipment is very nice. They drive very nice looking trucks, okay? That's not all blinged out, but they're very professional trucks. The equipment's kept pretty darn clean. These guys all show up in the same uniform, pretty clean cut, wearing professional helmets and climbing gear, and it costs more. But you know that these people take pride in what they do. They take pride in appearances. Therefore, the chances of them taking pride in my property goes up significantly. I will pay the extra couple of $1,000s to hire these people every time over the guy that rolls down the road in his truck that's falling apart and he's out there in a ripped wife beater. Yes, he might be able to do the job, but he's also the type of person that may end up dropping the tree on my house. So really, any person I know that's on the upper class is willing to pay more for somebody that they can really trust and looks good. So the guy gets out of the truck, really sharp and clean. You get up and you go meet the guy, right? You start getting the job. You get to shake his hand. You want to make sure your hands are clean. They're not all covered in dirt and sweat and all that kind of stuff, right? Got to tell you what you really want done. And then you can start getting a job in a house like that that's going to pay a better quality. Then we go back to the vertical integration where if you start implementing, now I'm a groundskeeper. Okay? I'm not just a lawn care guy. I'm not just cutting your grass and edging the sidewalk. And then I would say, okay, after I've done your cut and everything, I would make sure everything's perfect. Then at the end of the cut that you were hired to do, I would go knock on the door. Hopefully they're there. I'd say, Mr. Jones, would you be willing to walk around your property and inspect it for me? I want to make sure that I did the best job that you wanted. If there's anything else you want done, I would like to be able to take care of that for you. And then walk around the house. Okay, now I'll be starting to think like a groundskeeper, not like a guy that cut a lawn. We walk around the house and be like, okay, well maybe there's a little mildew here on the north face of the house because it's not getting the sun. I'd say, Mr. Jones, if you'd like, I have a pump sprayer. I can spray that mildew off, and I would be willing to do that today at no additional charge. It's a small area. I wouldn't spend a days on it, but it's going to take me 5 minutes. A little diluted bleach water and a pump sprayer. I'd be like, Mr. Jones, if you'd like, I could take care of that for you. No extra charge today. Do a little something else for free, and then ask him as well. Be looking around. Is there anything else here that you need done that either we can do this time or that we could do next time? Because then you take that initiative to say, can I take care of this for you? He might say, you know what? I really need these hedges trimmed. Are you able to do that? Yes, sir, absolutely. So you want to be the guy that he calls for everything, and then he will pay you way more, I promise, because the last thing I want is to have 6 different companies that I have to deal with. I want one guy. I want one guy that comes and does everything. It's easy. What you'll find about people that are in an upper class or that are wealthy is that their time is very important to them, and having to play this chase around game to find somebody new every time sucks. We want a guy that we can trust that comes and does it all. I would be much more willing to hire a groundskeeper than a lawn care service. And then that's when we get back to that vertical integration that we were talking about in the previous video, that then you could start offering stuff like curb-a-lawn or pressure washing service would be a wonderful too. So if he's already worried about the outside appearance of his house and you're cleaning the side of his house off that maybe has a little bit of mildew on it, next thing you know, you might have a little pressure washing business set on the side or the equipment and just saying, Mr. Jones, we noticed that you take a lot of pride in your house. I was looking at your sidewalk and your driveway. We also do pressure washing services. I took the liberty of writing up a proposal and then just give it to them. Don't stand there and wait for an example. Say, if you would like us to do that job, just give me a text or an email or however they communicate with you. And always make sure that you call them by their name. You better remember their name and how they want to be addressed, because that counts for a lot too. And chances are they'll probably say, yes, I would love to have this driveway pressure washed as well. I just didn't want to have to call somebody else, but now you're the guy. So now next time they need something, the chances are they're going to call you every time. Now you're the official groundskeeper. And so you can continue to integrate vertically in different things that you are able to do. You might even get to a point where you become the tree removal service as well. You just continue to build that business out. Best part is, again, when you get to the next level of clientele, those people everybody thinks that rich people or wealthy people are greedy and angry and miserable. Absolutely not true. Most of them are the kindest and also the most giving to people that truly deserve it. They get pissy and aggravated with people that are either entitled to it or that show up and do terrible jobs. But people that do great jobs, they treat them very, very well. And the best part is when those people get together at the country club, or they're playing golf or tennis or whatever it is that they do in that community, because the chances are they like to hang out with people that are in the same status level. That person comes over to have a beer after the golf game and they're like, yeah, hey, Mr. Jones, your house is, man, it's really looking good. Just had this washed too. He goes, let me get you my guy's number. He's great. You're gonna love him. You're gonna love him. And the only reason that I say that is because I have vendors that I specifically use. When it comes up, I'm like, I got a guy and you're gonna love him. You get excited to share it with somebody because you're helping solving somebody else's problem. So be the vendor that those people want to share with their friends, and you will basically be the equivalent of a luxury brand for lawn care. So I hope some of these ideas helped you out, and if you feel that it gave you some value, feel free to share it to somebody else that might bring them value as well. That's the show for today, and we'll catch you on the next one.